Good evening, good evening, good evening. What's happening, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Mental Wellness Live, brought to you by Stress Health Co. and yours truly. I am Cameron Lovelace. For those of y'all who do not know who I am a therapist and mental health wellness professional that is dedicated to helping high performers continue to maintain optimal health so they can maintain peak performance. So, if this is your first time, welcome in. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for tuning in and checking out and see just what it is that we're talking about today. I'm pretty sure the thumbnail probably got a little bit of y'all. But before we get into it today, this week's episode is sponsored by the Turn Your Stress Off mini course. It is the course that I made myself, but it's the premier course that is going to teach you how to use mental health exercises to help you calm your body, calm your nervous system, so that you can get back and re-energize and refocus so that you can get back to maintaining that peak performance that we talked about. But did y'all watch Super Bowl? Comment below. Who was you rooting for? Was you rooting for the Eagles? Was you rooting for the Chiefs? Was you rooting for Kendrick? Or was you rooting for Drake? Was you a Swifty, or was you the Fly Eagles Fly? Where did you stand on the ballot? What side of it did you lean on, right? And so I'm gonna tell you straight up, I didn't have a dog in the fight. I don't really have it. And I'm a basketball guy. So, I mean, I enjoy the NFL. I enjoy watching football. Played a little bit of football when I was in junior high. But football ain't my sport. So I just don't have like a team or players. But I can definitely appreciate the game, right? And what I found very interesting was basically the story. Because when, in full transparency, when I was trying to figure out, what am I going to talk about today? I thought about doing Kendrick and Drake. I thought about talking about how Kendrick basically took this and ran with it, and it turned into his biggest year ever. How he swept the Grammys. I thought about it, but I was like, you know what? I don't want all that energy. That situation has a lot of energy around it, and I don't really want that. But it made me really dial in when I realized that the Eagles really dominate about this. A lot of people look at it from the angle of revenge, but I look at it as more of a bounce back story, a story of resiliency. And there's a lot of lessons that can be deemed from that lesson, because a lot of us take L's, but you just don't take the L in public. We take a lot of private L's, whether it's, something didn't work out for us. We went for a position and we didn't get it and went to somebody else, or we got fired, or, we not paying bills on time, or our credit score ain't low. There are L's that we take in private, but I think it's a big lesson to be learned to know how to take your L's and bounce back from them, and how to recover from those L's and turn those L's, those losses, into lessons, and then turn those lessons into wins. You get what I'm saying? There's a lot of lessons. There's a lot that can be learned from the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts right now is the poster child. But from that experience, we can relate that back to our own lives, especially in the world of business and in the world of corporate America. Wherever you fall, you can definitely take lessons from that. But let's go ahead and dive into a few of them, because this is just what I took away from the experience. But I always say that who you are in tough times really defines who you are. When things are not going your way, when things are troubling for you, when you've taken loss after loss after loss, how is your character? How do you respond? How do you treat people? What do you choose to do? Because that is the true test of who you are and what you're made of. When that pressure comes on, are you cubic zirconium and you break under that pressure? Or are you a diamond and you grow stronger? You get brighter. When that heat is on, do you melt, or do you shape and you shine like gold? And so when that pressure is on for you, what we're talking about specifically is the pressure of loss, the pressure of failure, the pressure of disappointment. How do we take that and bounce back from that and turn that into us shining like we are meant to? Okay. So first thing, let's go ahead and get into these. So first things first, I told y'all I'm a basketball guy. And so when looking at some of the greats, you find that they're able to, I don't want to say be delusional, but they're able to reshape the experience for themselves, if that makes sense. Example, Michael Jordan always said, he said, I never lost. I just ran out of time. He said, I never lost a game. I just ran out of time. Mike, you lost. I just ran out of time. You get what I'm saying? Like there was that irrational, well, in his case, very rational confidence that he could still win the game, that there was still a part of him, that there was no opponent that he faced in the NBA that he could not beat through his skill set. Right. And so you got to be careful with this one. I'm gonna be frank with this one, because what this can lead to is you blaming other people for your mishaps. And so that's why I say you got to be careful with this one. You got to look at it from the perspective of, you know what? This is something that didn't turn out my way. But next time, I'm going to make this happen. We talked about last week's live, everything, Isaiah 8:28, everything. Hold on. I'm messing up the scripture now. All things work together for the good of those who love the Lord. That's an example of turning the situation and reframing it into, you know what? This hurts right now. You know what? This stings right now. But this is working together for my good. That's an example of, you know what? I'm going to take this and I'm going to turn this into something that's going to be for my benefit. That's going to be for my good, right? And so when looking at, the Super Bowl, I'm not really interested in listening to the players after they've won. I'm more interested in looking at the players after they've lost. Just, this is the field I'm in. And I went back actually in preparation for this, and I looked back at Jalen Hurts' Super Bowl loss. What he said in his interview after he's lost. And you see he's going through it. And he said, you know what? You either win or you learn. I'm going to take this and I'm going to try to learn whatever I can from it. And it's interesting because in the face of defeat, in the face of adversity, fresh from the Super Bowl, fresh from that loss, he was able to have the presence of mind and say, you know what? I'm not a loser. I'm a winner. I didn't win this time. So I'm going to learn what I can do so I can win next time. That type of, I don't want to say irrational confidence or delusion, but that type of reframing in your mind is what you have to take in front of you when you don't get the contract. For those of you who are entrepreneurs, when you don't win the contract, when you don't get the business, when you get literal doors slammed in your face, when you get people, you're trying to sell a product and stuff is literally walking off from you, you got to say, oh, they just don't have the money right now. Just not the right person. You ain't the right person for this product. You're not looking for this product. But somebody needs the services that I provide. Somebody needs the product that I have in my hand. And it's coming up right now. Right now, I'm gonna make 10 sales today. I'm gonna make 20 sales today. I'm gonna make 100 sales this week, this month, 1,000 sales this year. You get what I'm saying? You got to be able to reframe your experience, especially in the face of disappointment. to the point to where, because what's going to happen is you're going to keep saying it and saying it and saying it to the point to where your brain is going to actually start believing it. Oh yeah, oh yeah. And now mind you, this can also work in the opposite way as well. If you say I'm never going to get a sale, if you say I'm always short on the rent, or I'm always not coming up on my sales, I'm always failing, I'm a failure, that works in your brain as well. Your brain, your spirit is going to believe that just as well. So when you're a high performer, you have to speak life into yourself. You have to reframe how you've seen that particular instance. And that leads me to my next point. You have to surround yourself with people, with good people. You see, what's interesting is after they lost in the Super Bowl, the next season they were expected to, return. They started off 9-1 and then like flopped toward the end of last season. And they didn't make it to the Super Bowl, even though they should have. They had to change up some things. Yes, they got Saquon Barkley in the offseason. He had a phenomenal season. Yes, you surround yourself with people who are great at what they do too. But there was also changes in the coaching staff. There was changes that they implemented this year, mid-season. We're gonna play this way instead of that way. And the thing is, a lot of us like to surround ourselves with yes men or people that make us feel comfortable, especially in times of adversity. But we have to make sure that the people around us, especially in the tough times, they don't just make us feel good. They're not just comforting us. They're not just the shoulder for us to cry on, but they're actually people who will speak life into you and also speak realness to you. They have to be able to speak realness to us, especially when we don't want to hear it. Speaking specifically in the sports world, let's pivot away from the Eagles for a second. Stephen A. Smith, in his book, Straight Shooter, great book, by the way, he talked about how after he was fired from ESPN and he was sitting at home in his mother's house and his mom made him breakfast and basically told him to pick himself up and get back out there. Even though he had been sulking, even though he was sad, even though he was beating himself up, she said, look, you're not finna sit in my house and you're not finna sulk. You're better than this. You pick yourself up and get back out there. You're still talented. You still have something to offer. Go out there and get a job using the talent that you have. And so when we have a tough time, matter of fact, let me speak to me. When I had a tough time, when I was almost kicked out of grad school, I can remember two people specifically. There was my mother, who's a very critical person. Love her to death though, but she can't help being critical. She wanted me to, admit my wrong, like not necessarily put myself on blast, but just be open about it and be all that good stuff and admit that my wrong. And then there was my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, who was there for me to support me, who didn't throw it in my face and said, you know what, whatever happens, we're going to work through this. We're going to get through this. We're going to see what happens and we're going to make our adjustments. And so you have to surround yourself with people that will not only have your benefit, but also are not afraid to tell you. They're not afraid to tell you, okay, you did this wrong. You did this right. Let's see what we can do to have a better at bat next time. That's what having a great supervisor. That's what having a great teammate in your office, in your business. That's the benefit of not being alone. Because because when you are alone, it makes you vulnerable to the blind spots. Or when your emotions are down, sometimes you need somebody else to pull you out of that dark place. And so you have to strengthen your social surroundings. Primarily, I'll recommend beforehand, but especially when you're going through that dark time, when you're going through that rough patch, when you're going through that struggle, and you're just having a hard time. The next thing that we have to do is once you have reframed the experience, once you have surround yourself with the good people, you got to address the criticism. Oh yeah. You got it. Let me tell you something. There is a little bit of truth in almost all critics and all criticism. A little bit. Now, some things will be flat out lies. Of course, flat out lies. But it benefits you to see, you know what, where did this come from? Where is this energy coming from? Where is there some truth to this? When I got fired from one of my jobs when I was in college, you know, they said, Cameron, you're a great asset to the team. You provide great energy, great leadership, but this part of the job you haven't been doing. And they were right. That was one aspect of the job that I just hadn't been doing. And that part was very crucial to the job. And it led to me being dismissed. And I had to take that and I had to eat that because it was true. Now, going on to my next job, I was able to tighten up. I was able to make sure that, you know what, this is an area that I'm weak in. So let me make some adjustments so that I can make sure this gets done. And so what is that for you? When you've taken your last loss, when you've been criticized, talked about, corrected, is there some truth to what they're saying? Is there some truth? Can you take that feedback and learn from it and grow from it? I think you can. If you want to be a high performer, you have to. Because the thing about it is, everybody that's a winner, everybody that you look up to in business, sports, entertainment, you name it, they've had a level of adversity. They've had a level of struggle. They've had a level of criticism. And if they're truly great, if they're truly the high performer that you aspire to be like, they've taken the criticism and learned from it. They've taken the criticism and learned, not taking it as losses, but they've taken it as a lesson so that they can continue to grow and continue to become even better at what they do. I guarantee some of your favorite entertainers probably had horrible first performance, but they probably had somebody in their corner to tell them, look, we need to tighten up on this. We need to tighten up on these vocals. We need to get a better coaching staff in here. You got to go over here and we got to put somebody else here. We got to do better right here. I have to show some improvement right here. You got to take ownership of every single loss that is handed to you. Because if you don't turn that loss into a lesson, then it will be a permanent loss. And you'll never get a win. And so if you want to be a high performer, you're going to have to learn how to take all of those things and shift your mindset. into taking the experience, surrounding yourself with people who will not yes men, but people who will actually give you sound advice and actually be able to learn from every single adversity, right? Now, something that's also very critical is being able to control yourself. Being able to control yourself in the moment when adversity hits. Something that I paid attention to from the interview from Jalen Hurts is he was very controlled. And the media actually commented on it, said that, you know what, Jalen, you don't really show a lot of emotion. But how are you feeling right now? He was like, yeah, I mean, either you win or you learn. So I'm gonna go back into tape, and I'm gonna watch tape, and I'm gonna figure out and try to be better, and try to take a swing at it again next year. You get what I'm saying? Because some people would have had a whole meltdown. Some people have complete and utter like tears, violent tendencies, whatever the case may be, to the point to where that fight or flight mode kicks in and they get very destructive. They get very, hypercritical. They blame other people. And so you have to be able to regulate and control yourself, especially when you take that L. Because if you can't control yourself before you take the L, you're never going to learn. And so that's why I encourage you, those of you listening this under the sound of my voice, whether you're on replay or watching this live and direct, you want to get the Turn Your Stress Off course. In that course, you're going to learn the tools to be able to calm yourself down and regulate yourself in the moment. Because here's the thing, adversity is going to come. Tribulations are going to come. Disappointments are going to come. But how you respond to those determines your level of success. It determines if you're going to bounce back from it, if you're going to be able to calm down when somebody insults you. My wife was just talking about this today, how she wasn't doing anything wrong at her particular job, but people, because of their own insecurities, because of their own inadequacies, because of their own issues, they're projecting on her. They're getting smart on her. They're getting frustrated on her because of their own issues. But her, in a position of leadership, she has to be able to calmly respond with a spirit of excellence. And the same goes for you as a high performer. The same goes for you who's trying to get to that next level, who operates at the high level. You have to be able to calm yourself down and be resilient in the midst of the fire. But if you don't have the tools to do that, then you're going to be emotional. You're going to be going off on people. You're going to be cussing people out, and you're going to be losing your job and then have the same issues when you get over there too. So save yourself the trouble. Hit the link down below, get 25% off the Turn Your Stress Off mini course, and learn the techniques and strategies to be able to calm your mind and body so that you can continue to operate at a high level. All right. That's it for me. I'm gonna go ahead and log off here. Comment below some lessons that you learned, some takeaways from today's live. Comment if you were rooting for the Eagles or if you were a Chiefs fan, whatever the case may be. And I'll see you guys next week.